Nigeria's current economic climate reveals persistent corruption and inefficient public spending that threaten both economic stability and social development. Its wasteful government, spending, and high borrowing have also profoundly hindered social development and justice in Nigeria, leading to reduced access to quality healthcare, education, and infrastructure, core components of social equity. One of the primary areas of concern is budget allocation and transparency. The 2024 Nigerian budget stands at approximately N28, 78 trillion, with a significant portion, around N8, 27 trillion, directed towards debt servicing. In total, Nigeria's debt load has expanded significantly, with debt servicing now consuming a large share of the national budget, limiting funds for capital and human capital projects essential for growth. However, there are systemic issues in how these funds are allocated. For instance, the service-wide votes portion of the budget, initially intended for emergencies, has ballooned to N4, 41 trillion in 2024, much of which is directed to vague or unspecified projects without clear accountability measures, creating avenues for waste and possible misappropriation. Impact on healthcare and education. A significant portion of Nigeria's budget now goes to debt servicing, limiting resources for critical social sectors. For example, in 2024, debt servicing costs accounted for nearly 30% of the federal budget, leaving inadequate funding for healthcare and education. This has led to healthcare facilities struggling with underfunding, insufficient equipment, and workforce shortages. For instance, Nigeria continues to face high maternal and child mortality rates, with many public hospitals lacking basic resources. The underfunding of healthcare has been exacerbated by corruption and inefficiencies in budget allocation, where funds allocated to these services often do not reach the intended facilities. Similarly, Nigeria's educational sector suffers from chronic underfunding, which has led to overcrowded classrooms, underpaid teachers, and inadequate facilities. This situation has fueled the ongoing migration of Nigerian professionals, especially in medicine and education, in search of better opportunities abroad. Without significant reforms, these sectors remain trapped in a cycle of decline, directly impacting millions of Nigerians who rely on public services. Infrastructure development and economic inequality. Despite substantial borrowing intended to improve infrastructure, much of the funding is diverted or wasted through mismanagement. This has left Nigeria with a massive infrastructure deficit, particularly in transportation, water supply, and energy. For example, despite billions allocated to road projects, many rural areas remain inaccessible, limiting economic opportunities for farmers and small businesses. This lack of infrastructure perpetuates economic inequality, making it difficult for impoverished communities to break out of poverty and further straining social cohesion. Effects on social justice and poverty. Corruption and inefficient spending also exacerbate poverty and injustice, as public resources are siphoned into private hands. This not only deprives the public of essential services, but also contributes to public mistrust in governance. For instance, service-wide votes in the 2024 budget include ambiguous allocations that have not been thoroughly accounted for, creating potential for misappropriation. These funds, intended for social services, end up enriching a small elite rather than addressing social inequalities. If we must build an equitable, just society, we must address our debt and wasteful spending practices which divert crucial resources from social services, perpetuating economic inequality and eroding public trust in governance. These challenges underscore the need for transparent spending and accountable leadership to achieve meaningful social development and justice. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who'd love it too. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you won't miss any future videos.